This is from the Daily Mail. How Baton Rouge school, plagued by racial tensions and violence, drove military veteran to spearhead successful campaign for wealthy white residents to form new city of St. George. The first thing I'd like to do is insult the person who wrote that headline, because it's overly verbose and doesn't really explain what the story is. The story's massive. Baton Rouge is effectively splitting into two cities over crime.
They wrote it that way, in my opinion, because if you promote and talk about, this is secession. We're talking about secession here. And that's what this channel, I mean, we talk about that all the time. This is a big deal. And if you don't control that and you don't paint it in a negative light with race or something else, then you are going to have a problem. You're going to see other places want to do that. I'm going to have Tim read a little bit more of it. We're going to react to it. And then I have a separate clip from a guy on TikTok who really did a good job breaking it down. It was a huge cope. It's a blackie mod, but he did do a good job of breaking down what happened. And let's look at the blueprint of this thing so we can replicate it.
With the wealthier suburb, which is predominantly white, St. George becoming its own city. And this was as of a couple of days ago. The interesting thing is that there are many people arguing that by having this wealthy suburb break off, which is predominantly white, 70%, it is going to harm and leave behind black families. I am shocked that they would argue that make that racist argument. Black families in Baton Rouge don't need the white people to be there in order to succeed. I don't know why they would make that argument. But of course, they're claiming it's racist now that the people who live in this community voted for their own city. So what say you, panel?
Okay, so that's the story. Let's go to this TikToker, though, to kind of break it down with it. So if you didn't get it, Baton Rouge, there were issues with the school system. That's how it started. But this guy, Gary Chambers, actually did a really good job. I did reply or quote tweet it. I said, he's mad that the racist whites left make it make sense. I can't breathe right now from laughing. They're supposed to be racist, but you're mad that they left.
Let me break down how a group of 5 to 10 white people got in a room, came up with an idea that they wanted to start a new school district in Baton Rouge. When they couldn't get it, they then decided that they would start their own city.
Now,
let's be clear. Baton Rouge had the longest desegregation school system lawsuit in the country.
I don't care about segregation or desegregation.
So when we talk about white people wanting to start a new school district, it's not just because they want their kids to be educated well. It's really they don't want their kids to go to school with you.
Okay. I might not want my kids to go to school with you either. So, and they might not want my kids to go to school with them either. So, figure it out. What do you need them for? Shouldn't you be celebrating? Man, these people are weird.
At least here in South Louisiana. Let me break it down. This is Norman Browning. He's the chief architect of this whole thing. Wealthy white Louisiana residents win right to form their own city and split from poorer black neighborhoods in landmark court ruling after 10-year battle. The Louisiana Supreme Court on last Friday granted Norman and his cronies a new city, the parish of East Baton Rouge Parish, which let me break down what that means. We have parishes in Louisiana, not counties, so we have a consolidated form of government, which was the request of white citizens 40, 50 years ago when black people were becoming a larger percentage of the population in the city of Baton Rouge. We went to a consolidated form of government. So we have a parish and a city council that is unified, as well as a mayor president. So the mayor of Baton Rouge is the mayor of the city of Baton Rouge and the president of the parish of East Baton Rouge. Now, because of that, all of our money goes into one pot and then we help the whole parish is what it's supposed to be. But every time black people continue to grow in population, white people create new municipalities in this parish because they do not want to be under black leadership.
Yeah, because that's where the money's coming from. What are you talking about?
Now they break all of what they did down for you right here on their Facebook page, okay? $800 800 donors, nearly 90% were senior citizens, okay? Over the age of 50, that accounted for 98% of the financial contributions, who remained in EBR parish and fought to create a better future for their children and grandchildren. The incorporators wish to publicly acknowledge the strong financial support from Eddie Risponi and Dan Hurd. More than 5.5 years and $250 million have been lost in establishing a new city. So Eddie Risponi, a man who ran for governor of Louisiana and lost, put up millions of dollars because he was the chief financier of this to help split the city of Baton Rouge. I want to be clear about this. So a group of white people over 50.
Let's be clear. It's not like it's an all-white city. I think it's 70% white, but okay. The new city, St. George.
Got 800 of their buddies together, raised some money, found a rich person, and then got 17,000 people to vote in something that impacts all of the people of this community.
I don't understand. So what's the problem? You don't like them, right? I mean, that's clear. You never liked them, whether they stayed or left. Now that they're gone, why don't you focus on your schools, your whoever's left, what you've got? What do you need them for?
So let me break the history of it down. They brought an effort to create the city of St. George before 2019. That effort failed. Because they had some apartment complexes and neighborhoods that had a blacker population in those communities. So they came back. They cut the map smaller. That's why you see all these jagged edges. And then they drew a city that's over 70% white.
Okay.
And said, let's try again after they failed the first time. The second time, they win the election with 17,000 people. After winning this election, it's then challenged that they can't afford to run the city. Let's go look at it. So this is from the Supreme Court ruling, and I want to read from the majority opinion. It was a 4-3 vote. So 4 justices, 4 white conservative justices voted in favor of this.
I might break this down. It's that deep for this channel. I have not looked at this document yet.
3 justices voted against it. Only 1 black person serves on the Supreme Court in Louisiana. St. George's annual operating cost is $47.81 million, well within the disputed $48 million revenue estimate. So they only supposed to get $48 million every year from the city. And the budget that they have cooked up for themselves comes out to $47.81 million. And the Louisiana Supreme Court says that that's enough money for them to start a new city, not knowing if any other expenses or any other thing is going to come up, and not knowing if they can fully privatize everything that they say they're going to privatize at the cost that they say they're going to privatize. So in essence, they didn't even have to give a full plan to say how they're going to do it.
This is tough to watch, man. This is really tough to watch. All this energy into letting, arguing. What is the argument? That you want them to stay?
They said we're going to throw something on the wall. We think they're going to give us $48 million a year, and we're going to privatize all of it and start a new city because we that damn smart. Now, these same people that the city has been approved want $250 million from the city because over the last 4 years that their city has been held up in court, they now say the city of Baton Rouge owes them $50 million for each of those years. Now, the wild part is we've been paying for services to serve that portion of the community all of those years. They didn't get no services stopped. So you want money back for services you received? BS. Let me show you what the Chief Justice of the Louisiana Supreme Court, a conservative, wrote about the majority opinion. He dissented. The Chief Justice said, this decision in this case achieves a result masquerading as an opinion. Disappointingly, the majority opinion deploys a procedural rules to avoid evaluating whether there has been compliance with the statute that requires full compliance with its provisions. Among the provisions is the requirement that petition for incorporation include listing of public services the municipality corporation proposes to render to the area and a plan for the provisions of these services. As well as will be demonstrated, there is no procedural impediment to the evaluation of the petition for full compliance, and the evidence establishes the petition does not include a plan for provisions of services and therefore is legally deficient. That's from the Chief Justice of the Louisiana Supreme Court.
It's not a strong statement. So he's basically just saying, I'll have to break this down to really make it clear, but I'm going to finish this out. I do appreciate this video. It's a good video that he put some time in to make. the cope with it is just so, I mean, there's so much cope. I feel like it's it's tangible. I can almost feel it coming through the screen. But just going to finish it out, and then I'll do another video. I want to break this down in significant detail.
He said that what they put on the ballot, in essence, was deficient. It was not enough to say that you can run a city. It wasn't even a clear plan on how you're going to afford to run a city that's almost 100,000 people and will cost you $50 million a year, damn near, and you want to open a school district.
I don't understand what his concern is. I understand his concern with, I'm not familiar with them wanting 5 years of 50 million each. So, but is that what he's talking about here? I don't understand the concern. Why are you worried about what they can afford or what they can't afford?
I almost cussed, so I stopped. So to be clear, that little orange area is a new 70% white city in East Baton Rouge Parish.
So what?
A group of 5 to 10 white people got in the room and organized 800 people. They put some money in the pot. They got 17,000 people to vote. And the Louisiana Supreme Court upheld their vote. Doesn't matter if they can afford it. Doesn't matter the impact it has on the rest of the city. Doesn't matter how it impacts the community in our school district. And for
Wait, why would they have to care about that?
all of the people who talking about Rainbow Coalition.
Keep in mind, they're trying to leave crime, bad schools, and people who really don't have any type of vested interest in creating a good culture and environment. So you can do your own culture and environment, and I'll do mine.
Coalitions and unity. Tell me how we unify with people who tell us that they want to take their toys and go home. They don't even want.
Who wanted unity? I don't want unity not from people that we don't see. I don't want any beef. Obviously, no violence or anything like that. I don't want unity. The only people I want to unify with are people who we can share the same moral foundation. You and them did not share the same moral foundation. There's no need for beef, but there ain't definitely no need for unity.
Coalitions and unity. Tell me how their vote. Doesn't matter if they can afford it. Doesn't matter the impact it has on the rest of the city. Doesn't matter how it impacts the community in our school district. And for all of the people who talking about rainbow coalitions and unity, tell me how we unify with people who tell us that they want to take their toys and go home. They don't even want to pay for the things that we paid for on that side of town. Now, I've been telling y'all forever it was a tale of two cities.
They all paid.
I guess I was right. So for all those people who always trying to act like things are not about race, let me also point out that the Louisiana Supreme Court dropped this decision after the state legislature approved that there would be a second black seat on the Louisiana Supreme Court. You take something from us, we take something from you. Black folks gonna get a new Supreme Court justice on the Louisiana Supreme Court?
You see how that's like, you're black, so I own you. What is that? Like, just because the Supreme Court justice, the state Supreme Court justice is black, that they're supposed to agree with everything that you agree with? Who else does that?
And the majority, by a vote of 4-3 on the Supreme Court, says, if you're going to take one of our justices, we'll approve these white citizens in Baton Rouge to take half your city and $50 million a year. But y'all say organizing and voting doesn't matter. 10 people got in the room, organized 800 people, got 17,000 people to vote, and now we all got to pay the cost. Pay attention. Strategize, organize, raise your money, mobilize.
That's a good ending. That's a good takeaway. If you want to go back to whoever you consider your people and say,
This is from the Daily Mail, how Bat
and say that, go ahead and do it. Let's go back to Timcast and the crew reacting, then we'll be out.
Louisiana, but in Texas, there's a movement to create new free cities that split off from places like Austin And it's simply about taxes, it's about regulations, it's about zoning, it's about schools, it's about all the things that normal people care about. And my guess is that the Baton Rouge city government is slightly better than Portland, Oregon, but maybe not good enough if you're paying the taxes. So why wouldn't you vote with your feet? And why wouldn't you start a community that is actually going to care about basics? Like, I want my trash picked up. I would love for my kids not to be transitioned in middle school. And I would love not to get shot.
Yeah. Baton Rouge is where there was a big BLM riot, and the case is still going on, where the police officer then sued the organizer for being like, you created a dangerous situation. Wow. There was a similar effort in Atlanta to create, I think it's called Buckhead. And as far as I know, it's been voted on a couple times. It's never gone through. But again, there was this criticism that it's like what
they're worried about is if they were able to do it in St. George, somebody else is going to be able to do it somewhere else. I would like to see it at the county level, but wherever we can do it, I'm good with that.
the wealthy white residents
They don't have counties there, but you know what I mean, the parish level.
Want to split off. I think that's an oversimplification to scare people against the concept, right? If you're living in an area and you guys are doing pretty well, regardless of race, and you think, hey, this city is being mismanaged, I don't want to sell my house. My house is in the good part. Why don't we split off? That makes sense for me. I think that it's sort of arrogant of cities that are being poorly managed to say, well, like, you guys have to go down with our ship. You're not allowed to leave. Otherwise, we'll label you racist.
It's not race. It's governance. It's failure of governance.
That's exactly what that whole TikTok was about. What she said. Let me bring that back. Hannah Claire Barrow. Here we go.
Of cities that are being poorly managed to say, well, like, you guys have to go down with our ship. You're not allowed to leave. Otherwise, we'll label you racist.
Hannah Claire Brumelo breaking it down. That's exactly what it is right there.
Why don't we split off? That makes sense for me. I think that it's sort of arrogant of cities that are being poorly managed to say, well, like, you guys have to go down with our ship. You're not allowed to leave. Otherwise, we'll label you racist.
It's not race. It's governance. It's failure of governance. It's a failure to do the basic things that you expect a city government to do.
Yeah, and who gets to judge that? The people who leave. It doesn't matter. It's their perception is all that matters. I would have been perfectly fine if the Black Imams left. I would have been like, I would say the same thing. I'm not against them, at least from their standpoint of secession. I would have been applauding them. I mean, that's what you've been talking about, right? You want to start your own stuff and do your own thing, go ahead and do it.
Middle MAGA.